In a world where love and hate coexist, there's some names on the list that's been plotting and waiting to scratch your name off the list. If we can't coexist, then we may as well resist against all racial intolerance, so let's raise up our fists.
I'm sure about half of you are wondering why the poor getting taxed by the government when they cannot afford to even go to the dollar store for a snack that's 100 cents. Lord, if they had any common sense, they'd extort all the cats in the 1%, but they ignore every man on the Forbes list so they can hoard all the cash that the funds are spent. They morally lack all the fundamentals, yeah, I don't think them assholes give a crap cause so much of them been gassed up by the big cheese. You'd have sworn it was lactose intolerance. Now, of course, if it happens, boy, I imagine more would be happy to some extent. Less a portion of that goes to Congress to declare war on behalf of our countrymen. First there were wars with the Catholics and Protestants. Now it's Democrats and Republicans. Seems like we're all caught in a vicious circle with an enormous and massive circumference. Next election, I bet Trump and friends will probably storm in the Capitol once again, thinking, boy, I can act I want, cause it won't normally have any consequence. For us, it's the actual opposite. Either corporal capital punishment for a gun offense, but their parents were never spanking them, nor even slapping them on the wrist. What's ironic is, was a judge and jury in the courtroom slapping them on the wrist like they're a bunch of kids who are cognizant cause they were born handicapped.
In a world where love and hate coexist, there's some names on the list that's been plotting and waiting to scratch your name off the list. If we can't coexist, then we may as well resist against all racial intolerance, so let's raise up. In a world where love and hate coexist, there's some names on the list that's been plotting and waiting to scratch your name off the list. If we can't coexist, then we may as well resist against all racial intolerance, so let's raise up our fists.
I'm sure about half of you wondering why no majority, massive preponderance of minorities had ever fought against or crossed swords with the methods and sought revenge. All those horrible acts that were brought against them to destroy and shatter their confidence, resulting in them avoiding the clash. That was the point of establishing dominance. They promised us 40 acres, but there are recorders and factual documents that show their stories don't match with according to past and what's currently happening in front of them. That's why I'm unconvinced that they can comprehend, grasp, or endure the crap that we underwent. And if they did, they put an end to all of the torture, harassment, and suffering. Yet law enforcement is back in the hunt again. They want to stop and frisk us for the fun of it. Now, unfortunately, that's why I'm on defense. Understand, you would not find any contraband. Now, if it was up to me, every kid born from the African continent would get awarded a statue or monument. Treat him as royally as a Wakandan prince. We explore him and bask in the ambience, then rejoice as we laugh in astonishment. Just to block out that noise of the racket, since I get annoyed by the back end of compliments. And I'm somnolent for I'm tired of us not supporting the black man's accomplishments. Shit, out of every month, we pick the shortest to actually honor.
Where love and hate coexist, there's some names on the list that's been plotting and waiting to scratch your name off the list. If we can't coexist, then we may as well resist against all racial intolerance, so let's raise up our fists. Where love and hate coexist, there's some names on the list that's been plotting and waiting to scratch your name off the list. If we can't coexist, then we may as well resist against all racial intolerance, so let's raise up our fists.
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside